Bendiciones. Alafia. Bendiciones. Alafia. Hexing people doesn't make you a bad person. You know, there's this unreasonable, you know, taboo that's often put on people that are in traditional practices where, the world kind of shuns us, those of us who may dabble in the darker aspects of the tradition in order to create vengeance, or redemption or retribution, and they shame us for it. Interesting, you know, when the average person is a victim of a crime, they call the police. You know, when somebody that may be, in the street life or the urban community gets into something with somebody, they may not call the police. Well, they might call a group of people that can get retribution on their behalf, right? And so this is where, like, a female gets disrespected, then she go tell her brother, and then he come through with his homies, and they start wrecking shit, right? But for some reason, when this same principle is applied to those of us in traditional practices, now we're evil. Now we're the evil ones for getting our retribution the way that we know how to get retribution. Now the Brujo is put into a negative light. A Bokor can be put into a negative light because we are often the ones that people will run to when they don't have any other means of getting retribution. So let's understand, for instance, in my case, a lot of people that I get retribution for, they may not be able to get that retribution legally. And a lot of them can't. That's why they're coming to me. They may not have access to somebody that can handle it carnally. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's charges for that. You know what I'm saying? You can't just hire people to unlawfully go hurt people carnally, right? And so what do these people do? They have to find a loophole in the system. And that loophole is often the spiritual person that plays with both hands, that works both hands. That's where people will go to get that retribution, to get that get back, and deservingly so. Because everybody should have a chance to get justice. Now, justice doesn't look the same for everybody. Who are you to put stipulations around justice? Who are you? When these people come and they point the finger at us and they cast their judgment and there's the bad guys. Well, who are you to dictate what justice looks like? And when is it warranted? And this is why you're supposed to walk the world with respect. You're supposed to walk the earth with respect for everybody around you, for everybody that you encounter, so that it doesn't get to the point where people feel like they need retribution. A woman that gets her heart broken, she can't just go file, a police report and get the man arrested just because he broke her heart. There's other things that have to come with that heartbreak, like physical abuse and things like that. But just for him to be a dog and to do her dirty, she's not going to be able to get legal ramifications put onto him. So what else can she do? Of course, she's going to come to those of us who can get the retribution. And see, this is what me as a child of Eshu really understand so much, because of the duality that energy brings to me. You know, Eshu is the universal policeman. Eshu is the universal prosecutor for God. That is the role of Eshu, to get justice. And so people today, they think that they can put parameters on what justice looks like. You cannot do that, because every person is different. Often, even, let's say somebody verbally assaults somebody, and then the person that they verbally assault takes it to the next level and physically assaults the person. There will be people that say that was wrong. But from a universal standpoint, was it really? From a societal standpoint, sure, the person that now took it to a physical level will probably be apprehended by the law. But from a universal standpoint, was that person really wrong? Because you cannot tell a person how to handle disrespect. You cannot tell a person how to handle being shoved. We see that one in stand your ground states. You got to be careful. You can't just walk up and push somebody, because now if they pull out something and they pop you with it, they're not going to get apprehended by the law. You see, so this is what you have to understand when we're speaking of the retribution that comes associated with left-handed path people within the spiritual community. People love to make us the villain, but we are necessary to create balance. We are necessary to keep the cycle moving. And this is what people have a hard time understanding, because they're disconnected from nature itself. Live in the wilderness and see if that applies. To see if there's a stipulation on how justice looks. See, humanity have come so far from nature that they don't even understand basic principles of life as a unit. How can you call the Brujo evil because he hexed somebody? Everybody has a right to get justice, and nobody is perfect. But if they've wronged somebody and that person that they wronged didn't get justice, then they just didn't get justice. Now, if that client decides to get justice when they're wronged, well, that's their prerogative to take the justice. It's just the person that got wronged didn't take the opt to get the justice in that way. They went and kumbaya'd it out and da-da-da-da-da. That's their prerogative too. And us in the spiritual community that work with the left hand, we know this all too well. And like I said, the average person, when they're wrong, they're quick to get justice. They're quick to go and file lawsuits and go to the law and do all of these things that people do. But when it's the practitioner, oh man, they're evil. How? You get justice. How? When the Christian goes and prays to Yahweh to smite down their enemies and protect them from them, they're getting justice. When the Muslim goes and asks Allah to remove the enemies from their life, they get their justice. But I can't get my justice. I can't go into the graveyard and get my justice. I can't go to a train track and get my justice? How does that work? Everybody else can get justice but me? That's where you got me fucked up. Because I'm going to get my justice, nigga. Period. And this is what people have to understand. Oh, because my clap is louder, that's why I'm not allowed to get justice? Come on now. Treat people right. And you won't have to worry about retribution coming for you. You won't have to worry about that. Waka Flocka had a dope song, you know, some years ago. And some of the lyrics of the song was, I robbed so many niggas, karma came right back around. I jumped so many niggas, karma came right back around. See, Flocka understood that he lived in a way that could bring retribution upon him. And he lived with that. But some way, somehow, the average person thinks they're exempt. Oh no, that doesn't apply to them. Foolish person. All of it applies to you. Live righteously. Do right by people. And you don't have to worry about retribution. If you have relationship, handle that person with care. Don't handle people roughly. Even when you're upset. And you won't have to worry about retribution coming for you. You see? This is the laws of life. There's ways to part ways with people without burning bridges. There's ways to part ways with people without it having to be vicious. This is what closure is about. And when you decide that you're going to act in that way, you take whatever comes with that and you live with it. And so this is the reality of life. This is the reality that people don't like to acknowledge. But in the end, me as a brujo, I'm going to get the same retribution that the Christian gets. I'm going to get the same retribution that the Muslim gets. I'm going to get the same retribution that the average citizen gets when they call the law and the officer comes. I'm going to get the same retribution as the gang member that lost a homie, and so they went to even the score. I'm entitled to my retribution as a human being as well. Oh, but because you don't like the way I get mines, it don't count? It's not right? Well, the other good thing about a brujo is we don't give a fuck. That's the great part of it. We don't care that you thought it's wicked that I went to the extent of the occult to get it done. Maybe you should think about disrespecting brujos then, huh? Maybe you should walk with a little more humility. Yeah. And this is something that I know a lot of people listening can absolutely relate to because you've done this, you've gone through the same thing. Oh, now she gonna hex somebody because they done disrespecting her. Oh, but when somebody disrespect you, you cuss them the fuck out and you ready to fight. But because the way she fight is with spirits, now she wrong. No. Respect all people, especially those who can hit you without it being seen. And with that, I get with y'all in the next one. or dabo.